Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guests. I, as always, am your host, Alpha Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, we're going to have a little bit. Apparently, Jesse Ventura was on the Piers Morgan channel, and against all the people for Piers Morgan to find a spine against, it was Jesse, the former body Ventura. Then we'll get into a little bit of seems like Colbert has been picked to write Lord of the Rings. Didn't realize he had any writing credits. But apparently him and his son are going to be writing that. And then we'll get into Harry Potter, of all things, if we have time.
There to convince you that there was an assassination attempt. Here's the latest one, and I was, I always scan looking for news, and then I saw this once, and I saw it a couple times, and I don't bring something to you if it's just something very niche because you don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, and sometimes people will do that, and then they'll rage bait. You're seeing a lot of people now testing the waters with this. And this is why I mentioned earlier, if it feels like, if in your gut, you're like, well, wait a second, I thought these people were America first, and they're starting to sound a lot like the left, and I disagree, whatever it is. You could disagree with President Trump on Iran, you could disagree with President Trump on tariffs, but overall, I want to put America first, and overall, I'm glad that President Trump was elected instead of Kamala Harris. If it feels like you see people trying to take away any accomplishments or even historical events related to Donald Trump, that's because it is. That's because it is. The good news is they've overreached a little bit. I'm willing to bet that you will agree, because now the latest conspiracy, and they're just testing to see if enough of you will buy it, so you can come back to me, I'm calling it right here, is that President Trump, there was never an attempted assassination. It actually never happened. It's fake. It's a psyop. That brings us to this week's seditious conspiracy. So I've seen this in a few places, but it's always more fun if you can have Jesse Ventura say it.
I didn't know he was still around.
Yeah, he was on...
And I didn't either. I could have sworn he died, but I guess I fell for one of those social media hoaxes.
At first I saw it. I didn't know if it was him or Meth Head Santa. You'll see.
Both.
He was on Piers Morgan, and he tried to
fierce
insinuate
for like
that the Trump
years.
assassination was fake, and of course had zero substantiation.
And not fierce in the way that a wrestler wants to look. Like fierce as in someone moved into the abandoned house next door and they wandered the streets sometimes just after dark. Kind of fierce.
Beyond.
Come on, Pierce. Oh, really, Pierce? You believe that? All right.
Here you go.
There is a UFC whole event going on.
Like I didn't even know that's who this was until he started talking. Just looking at him, he looks like John Lithgow in his Dumbledore costume got really fucked up on like ketamine or some shit.
Imminently at the White House. Maybe they could extend it and have you against Trump.
And he's shaking like Will Ferrell's interpretation of Harry Carey.
Do you think he'd have the guts to do that? Are you kidding me?
Well, when he got
This guy.
well, when he got shot,
wait a minute,
Jesse.
Pierce,
To be fair to
wait
Trump,
a minute, Pierce.
To be fair to Trump, when he got shot,
I'm going to tell
when
you.
he got shot, he got back up.
I'm
Said
gonna-
fight.
Oh yeah, right. You ever hear of a blade job? Anyway.
A blade? What, you think he was fake?
Anyway, I don't know. Where's his scar today?
Somebody died literally sitting behind him.
Look, and say what you want about a lot of things that Trump did. Look, I hate more than anybody that I keep having to do this, but as I always say, when it comes to the news at the very least, the truth is truth. I don't care who's saying it, but you cannot deny reality. I mean, you can, but only in your own personal life. When it comes to, the real world, you have to acknowledge these truths. You can't base your whole ideology on a lie. Especially when it comes to politics. Politics is very much set in the real world. You can always argue that religions are based in a lie, and sure, whatever. But no, like if it's actually happening, there's video evidence of it. It's not AI. This was before AI had any kind of. This was back when the whole Will Smith eating noodles thing was pretty horrific. So it definitely isn't AI or implanted or anything like that. We saw this in real time. And people will try to deny that. People will try to forget the name of the person who died in the background, the firefighter. I don't know his name. I don't even remember the name of the shooter. I know his face because he's goofy looking. He looks like he could be a recast for McLovin.
I don't know. Come on, Piers. You're going to tell me this guy's a big hero now?
I thought that day he was.
That's what you're going to tell me?
That day he was.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, well, then he accomplished what he wanted out of you guys.
No, I think you could be heroic on one day.
See, that doesn't make any sense. Accomplished what he wanted. Look, you can argue that the assassination attempt was fake. That's a false argument, but you can argue that. I don't know why we're still talking about it to this day, but you can't say that he staged it because nobody's that good a shot. Nobody. And nobody is foolish enough to risk someone being that good of a shot. I don't think that it was staged. I just don't.
And you can be less heroic on others. But if you ask me, was he heroic when he got shot? Yeah, and I think those who try to pretend he wasn't actually shot or anything, it's ridiculous.
Is he a hero? I don't think so. Certainly not for that. Was it badass that he stood up and lifted his fist in the air and yelled, "Fight, fight, fight"? Yeah, sure. And it had some great photos to it. Like, that will be, once the dust settles from all this, that will be in the history books, 100%. However, a hero, I don't like throwing that word around, but this on the right here is ridiculous.
You're right. You know what I feel bad about was that if he'd have joined us in Vietnam, we might have won, huh?
And that has nothing to do with anything. You can call him a coward all you want. Who cares? What does that have to do with the conversation? Okay. And you were forced to go to Vietnam. And bone spurs was and still is a reason for people to not be in or stay in the military.
See, this is what they do. They throw out a claim, okay? They substantiate it, not at all.
Yeah.
Then they act incredulous when you call them on it, like,
Oh, come on. Look, I was in an underwater demolition. You think this guy was?
well, no, you said that he wasn't shot.
Yeah.
And then they move to sarcasm. By the way, the
Yeah,
ladies,
and that's the thing that kills me. First they say, him specifically on this, but I've seen it a lot. They start off by saying he wasn't shot, and then you say that he in fact was. And then for some reason, Piers Morgan calls him a hero. Again, I don't necessarily agree with that part. I thought it was a cool scene. And then he's like, yeah, well, if he was such a hero, why wasn't he in Vietnam? The
form of
fuck?
humor.
Oh, I bet you he would have been so good at war in Vietnam, right? I'm implying he wouldn't be, tough guy. Did you know I went to Vietnam? Did you know I went to Vietnam? It's like what I'm saying
totally
is like
there.
it's opposite day.
And
Like
I
when
was
you
in
were in grade
movies
school,
about
you'd wear your shirt on backwards. I'm saying he in fact was not in Vietnam.
But I was.
I was.
I'm a hero.
But could you imagine if President Trump was a hero in Vietnam? Be pretty cool. Trump is the best. That's about how I think.
Hey, why are you running, tough guy? Why don't you try running into the flames?
Awesome. And of course, it's just funny because it's Jesse Ventura. He's out of his mind. And by the way, he is the template for all the new trash journalist conspiracy theorists, right?
I'm just asking questions.
I called into Dennis.
Trump never talks about Charlie Kirk or Butler. If Butler wasn't staged, Trump would talk about 24/7 endless reliving. Or maybe it really freaked him out and he doesn't want to talk about it. Like, yeah, he bloviates about every little thing. Every time he gets asked a question about everything, he talks about the election and how much he won by and all that. Like, he bloviates about everything. Yes, I agree. But instead of being like, oh, it's got to be fake because he doesn't talk about it, like, maybe it actually freaked him out. I don't know. If I were that close to death ever in such an extreme situation, I probably wouldn't talk about it either. I'd change the subject or do something crazy to take the attention off of that and be like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? But it's obvious another assassination attempt was staged. Yeah, no, we'll save that treat, Dan Cohen. You're a fucking retard. Trump stage Butler event. Wow, that's a lot. 2 people died in that picture. The whole scene. You can't acknowledge that 2 people died and say that the whole thing was staged. So of all these people are retarded. You got lefties, you got righties. This person here is the most retarded person of them all because you can't acknowledge the fact that 2 people died from being shot by a sniper and then say that the Trump one was fake. Nobody's that organized. And look, as evil as I think a lot of politicians are, I think that they'll pit us against each other and get us to kill each other for the sake of their careers. But I don't think they'll actually blatantly just shoot people just for coverage and press. I don't.
Miller's radio show.
And if they did, it would be super obvious. And I don't think they have the capacity to actually make the subject of a genuine good conspiracy theory. I don't. None of them do. How do I know? Because most of the things that they do are very obvious. If your head's not up their ass.
Probably 10, 15 years ago, as Jesse Ventura. And I would throw out a bunch of outlandish things. And every time I'd say, well hold on a second, do you think that happened? I go,
I don't know, Dennis. I don't know. I'm just asking questions, tough guy.
That's how and that's what you see now. I'm just asking questions. But if you never...
I've never liked the I'm just asking questions bit, especially when you ask just the most heinous bullshit questions that are clearly just rage bait. I didn't like it when what's that fucker? He used to be on Fox. They made fun of him on South Park a lot on the Dancing with Smurfs episode. Oh, actually, this guy used to work for him. I'm pretty sure. He's based here in Dallas. Shit. Glenn Beck. Yeah, Glenn Beck used to do that stuff. I've never liked Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck to me is worse than O'Reilly. Yeah. Worse than O'Reilly, not quite as bad as that fucker that was outed in the Epstein files that used to work for Trump and during his first admin, I think. I can't remember his name. He used to run Breitbart, I think.
Provide an answer. Or there's an answer in the question that's implied that can be easily disproven. He's not the only one. Check the references. We provide them every show, 11 a.m. Eastern, when we stream. Bunch of conspiracy theorists out there testing the water. If it picks up enough traction, they will then pump it into the mainstream. We've seen this pattern. So let's go through the claims that you see. They're very, very easily debunked. This doesn't mean that it's 100% proven to be true, but you could say that about anything. We can simply disprove the initial claims that are being made before the goalposts get moved. Look for that too. It's going to happen. One of them.
Where's his scar? Where's his scar?
Here's his scar.
Yeah, like it's really, really little, but it's noticeable. The guy's rich. He's got good surgeons, but it's there. You can see it, and multiple. These are all taken weeks apart.
Wow.
No, and I've looked this up too because you keep hearing, "Where's his scar? Where's his scar?" Two things. One, your face and your ears bleed a lot, especially if you cut them open like this. Now, if you click this little nub, I mean, it bleeds a little bit, but up in here where it's mostly just like cartilage and flesh, there's quite a few veins in there. You can see it's very veiny. But yeah, it's a bit of a gusher. It bleeds quite a bit for a little bit, and then it just stops. But yeah, it only got nicked. And I still think that Mike Tyson should, since he's got the Evander Holyfield gummies, he should make Trumps that taste like orange sherbet. Anyway.
Oh, crap.
Okay.
It's a small one.
Small one. Sure.
Nobody said it blew his ear off.
Nope. There's a scar.
Where is it? You ever hear of a blade job?
That's in wrestling when they cut their forehead. Like, all right. No way to say. I guess now we've gone from where's his scar to there it is.
Well, that could just, he could have done it himself.
But you said where is his scar?
Okay.
Okay. Let's go to the next one, where Piers Morgan, I think, did a pretty good job there.
He did, yeah.
The man.
No, and I was surprised. He actually grew a spine.
I've heard it pronounced comparator and comparator. When that was brought up.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
I mean,
you got anything more than that? The bod? So, okay, here's why here's the proof. None of it can be 100%. That's the position that people are family, coworkers, police, government officials, including Shapiro there in Pennsylvania, all confirmed the death. Are they all in on it? Why? Why would you have family and coworkers and a Democrat and Republicans and those in it? If it's just one, for example, if you look at a lot of conspiracies like Antifa being let off the hook, well, it just takes Ray saying Antifa is not a real thing.
Right.
Just not. Oh, you go. Oh, okay. That determines the policy, right? If you look at the conspiracy that isn't a conspiracy of big tech censorship, well, it just takes one phone call because the same day, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, Twitter, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google all got rid of Alex Jones in one day, right? It's not a conspiracy. That really only involves 10 people. In this case, it would involve hundreds of people, thousands of people who don't have the shared invested interest. Why? And I know there's going to be a lazy answer that all these people are controlled by one person, and that's why, and so you shouldn't believe your lying eyes and ears.
What is overpaying on your taxes fee?
Here's the other one. Why would the New York Times be in on it? People who really, 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 really didn't want President Trump to win, I believe, officially endorsed Kamala Harris, or was that the Washington Post? You got?
And this goes with what I say all the time. If there's a left-wing source that says something that the right would stand behind, and if there's a right-wing source that prints something that the left-wing would stand behind, usually it's closer to the truth than the opposite. But then again, it could just be establishment going against non-establishment, the same way as when they wheeled Dick Cheney out for Kamala Harris. Again, not huge on Trump, but the whole Kamala Harris thing was kind of crazy.
You guys can fact check me. If they didn't endorse her, it was a soft endorsement. They were the ones who had the image of the bullet. Here you go.
Yeah.
They're in on it with the family. with a
and I've even heard people say that doesn't look like a bullet. That looks like an arrow. You're not a serious person. Photo compression of a few microseconds, all put together. You know how like if you're moving during a picture, sometimes you'll see that weird little Chronicles of Riddick shadow, the person extending from you, or Donnie Darko shit from behind you. That's the same thing, but this is moving much faster than you.
Conservative family.
It's a fake picture, Steve.
And a governor. It's a fake picture.
Ah,
right. It's a fake picture. Also, no one else in the press who would be a competitor to the New York Times would reverse engineer that picture and have that mammoth scoop that it's fake. Keep in mind, I believe it was the New York Times or Wall Street Journal who said that the engravings on the bullets used against Charlie Kirk that we released, they said that was fake when it was real, and they had to concede that later on. They're always looking to accuse someone of a fake story. No one? That's about all Jesse Ventura offers, but some other people are offering other conspiracies, again, that cannot be proven or disproven. Here's one that I've heard is, well, why didn't they rush him off the stage? That's another one you're going to see. Why don't they this is clearly not real because they wouldn't allow him to get up and pump his fist. They would have immediately taken him off stage. This is all theater. Well, they did try, and there's audio that has not been disputed that clearly demonstrates why he was there and wanted to inspire people.
And again, people talk about these things, but they don't read and they don't actually watch, especially if there's video footage of it. If there's video footage of it that was taken live, I don't know how you can refute these things. I mean, I don't get behind the whole conspiracy that of all the Trump rallies, why is this the only one that CNN covered? I don't get behind that one either, but at least that one has an actual question in mind. It kind of looks funny. I think it was just coincidence, but it's one of those coincidences that makes you ask questions. But again, I don't think that conspiracy theory has any legs to it, but way more than it just never happened. Or, oh, 2 people died and they used that as an attempt to get sympathy for Trump. He did a blade job. I can't believe it's almost been 2 years. That's crazy. Let me get my shoes. It blew him out of his shoes.
Let me get my shoes. Hold on, your head is bloody. So we gotta move to the bus.
And this is one question I did ask. Why do you put the 5-foot-tall agent in front of him? It is retarded. And anyone should be allowed to work anything. And I don't care, male, female, get Brianna Tarth out there, okay? Whatever, badass bodyguard. But why someone so short? I think he's over 6 feet tall for sure. I want to say he's like 6'3"-ish. Why? It makes no sense. I think he is. I might be wrong on that. Let me double check. How tall is Trump? Yeah. Again, I don't know why I knew that. For some reason, I know certain people's heights. Like, he's only an inch shorter than Ryan from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Like, that's crazy. He doesn't look that tall.
They were all in on it, I guess, too. Where you say, it still doesn't make sense. Guys, what are we doing here? And if you're going to try and take away one of the most significant moments in presidential history that certainly I can remember in my lifetime, as far as, would you guys probably say as far as someone running for office, this was the most significant event or to happen to an individual? I'm not talking about 9/11.
In my 36 years, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
I remember where I was.
I was born in the 80s, but
yeah,
there's things before, but yeah.
Certainly up there.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason as to why he won. It inspired a lot of people. Afterwards, you even had Zuckerberg and you almost saying, look, that's really badass.
He did an interview a couple of weeks ago that was maybe the worst interview for a professional politician that I've ever seen. He said he's mentally incompetent. He can't read a speech. He said things about his brain. He's got bad board scores. He's got bad this. And then he looked at the room and he said something to the effect that, I'm done.
Sorry, side tangent on this. Gavin Newsom's a fucking idiot. And not because he has dyslexia. Because I have dyslexia. He's a fucking idiot because he thinks we should give a shit. I'm so sick of people with no fucking problems trying to make these little bitty things that a lot of people deal with. Most of them don't even know that they have something like dyslexia, okay? I can't do letters or numbers, okay? I always have to sit there for a second and try to unscramble the shit. But for him to act like this is some severe, like he overcame adversity, all right? Look, you can't read the teleprompter. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, congratulations, okay? This is almost as pathetic as I think it was not a bobsledder, but the luge, a luge guy who said he overcame dyslexia to be a luger. Just like Greg Giraldo said, you can be dead and be pretty good at the luge, okay? Dead guys could make like a 3/4 of a second behind world record breaking times. And for him to sit there,
Like all of you people.
and he said he was dumb in front of all you people when he was talking to black people. He was in a room full of black people. He said he was dumb. I'm dumb just like the rest of you. and he's actively been caught lying, talking to people. I know Trump lies and he bloviates and all that too. But he's never lied about like where he comes from and his history and his, you know, anything involving not all the women he's had kids with and such. But as far as just lying from where you come from, he said he came from poverty. Nancy Pelosi's his aunt. Okay, this guy was born and bred to be a shitty governor.
And he ends up being called a racist because of that statement. This was the worst interview, but he admitted that he was a stupid person. And we don't want a stupid person as president. And if you watch him with the hands and everything else, there's something wrong with the guy. He's a nice-looking guy, but he's losing the look. He's losing it. It happens. It happens. It's all right. He's losing the look.
And this is extra retarded. So Olivia Giuliana, who's a big fat political commentator person, great big fat bitch. She's posting this saying that Trump's making fun of people for having dyslexia. He said he was a stupid person, okay? He never said anything about dyslexia. He said he was talking about how he went to a room full of black people. I hate this so much. Like the fact that you lie and you try to make it like you have dyslexia, so therefore you have some kind of real mental handicap. That's not how it is. And this pisses me off for the mere fact that a few years ago I was working for somebody and I misread something because I'm dyslexic. I'm like, sorry, this dyslexia is kicking my butt. And I got called into the office and the guy goes, you can't say that over the radio, okay? People have dyslexia. I was like, dude, I have dyslexia. He's like, you don't understand, Alfie. My cousin has dyslexia, and you might offend me. And I was like, dude, I have dyslexia. You're a giant pussy. It's like this dude got offended on behalf of a hypothetical cousin for dyslexia. This is like when I was talking about mental issues. When there was a big push for gun control about 7-8 years ago, and I said we should talk more about mental health than anything else. And he's like, that's so horrible. I suffer from anxiety and depression. Do you think I would just go out and kill people? And I said, not because you have anxiety and depression. I think because you're a fucking idiot. But the fact that people think that because someone's a psychopath or some kind of schizo who would go out there and shoot somebody, that's the same thing as saying that someone who's got minor depression or anxiety would go out there and shoot someone. Not all mental illness makes you do that. There are different levels to the shit. There are different illnesses. Okay? This shit's fucking
We
retarded.
want an intelligent person.
Yeah. Now you have people on the right, for some reason, they always lean toward taking away a win. Taking away the ability for President Trump to be inspiring in any capacity, while telling you it's because they're America first. Also, time-traveling Jesse Ventura had some words in a rebuttal for current Jesse Ventura.
Bunch of slack-jawed faggots around here.
See, I like that one better.
Yeah, he had a cool mustache.
He did have a cool mustache.
And I'll open the floor to you. Anything I'm missing? I hate that we even have to address this, but I know.
I'm not going to lie, I didn't even like Jesse Ventura back then. He was the least interesting one.
They'll try and...
It seems like...
I mean, speaking of time travel... Oh, damn it. Oh, no, there it is. Hold on. Come on.
Biggest thrill for me was when we hit wardrobe, and I happened to view Arnold's wardrobe tape, and when my arms taped out 1 inch bigger than Mr. Olympia's, that made Jesse Ventura feel pretty good.
Well, I'm very happy about that, because then my joke worked. Because I told the wardrobe department they should tell him that, so I can bet him a bottle of champagne afterwards when he comes to the gym. He came to the gym 2 days later and he says, you know something, Arnold? We should measure our arms. Who has bigger arms? I said, of course we should. I said, let's bet a bottle of champagne. He says, of course we should. And then we measured it and my arm was 3 inches bigger than his.
What the fuck?
And he lost a bottle of champagne. So, I mean, you know, the psychotrick trips, they work on everybody, on bodybuilders and also on wrestlers. It was good.
Like, I absolutely love old 80s troll Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, if you ever have a chance, watch Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Some of like a lot of it's really weird. Like he's saying, "When I'm working out, I'm coming." He's really weird about that. But some of the jokes that he played on people, like he said, when you get on stage, you have to yell like a crazy animal, go, "Ah, ah, ah," and someone did that and they got disqualified for being weird. And like Arnold Schwarzenegger was the OG troll back in the day. Or I don't remember if this is a joke, but I was trying to find this. But I remember an old Arnold Schwarzenegger story. He's like, when we were on the set for Predator, we were getting out there, and someone was so scared of all the spiders and all the little animals out there. And I don't want to give you his initial, his name, but his initials are Jesse Ventura.
I think it's cropped back up because of the Iran thing. Because they were trying to say that President Trump truly does believe that Iran did make plans to try and assassinate him, whether that was Butler, whether it was a golf course, whether there was other things that didn't happen. There's actually been a court case that concluded that somebody testified that they were paid by Iran. I think it was a Pakistani man, if I remember correctly. He believes that, and so they're starting to undercut that in the frame of we're at kind of war-ish with Iran right now. So I've seen this on the fringes, but now it's starting to make its way into the mainstream a little bit. And I'm like, I see what you're doing. Yeah, it's always something else. It can't possibly be what he said it was.
To be prepared, too, to have more Jesse Ventura on TV.
Yes.
Especially with this Iran stuff going on. He loves any opportunity to come in and tell everybody about how much of a hero he is.
Yeah.
And how much of a hero his family. Before the clip we played, he was asked something, and he didn't answer the question. All he said was, "I know about ice. Yeah, because my grandfather fought in World War I, and my parents fought in World War II, and I fought in Vietnam, and my brother, and so I know what I'm talking about."
Yeah.
And then Piers was like, "Okay, but the question."
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I know about ice. You know, the first thing I did when I got in the hotel was I went down to the ice maker on the second floor, and I put it in my bucket. I make sure to use the bag. I got to use the bag to keep it sanitary because I've been using ice all my life, Big Chief.
I don't think it's about ice, to be clear. I wish it was now, but buy it though. They buy it. They go, "Oh yeah, he's a war hero. Look at him. He blew up unexploded ordnance underwater in the 70s or 60s or 75 years ago. Who cares?
Yeah.
He knows everything."
And I've seen the people pushing this a lot. And again, I'd say it's 50% on the right, and this is just an estimate, 50% on the left.
I think it'd be higher on the right.
Yeah, I think
From what I've seen, it's almost all on
Watch, these
fringe
these
right.
people are going to go, listen to Jesse Ventura. Well, they'll go, I don't care about left or right, man. I care about truth. Do you know what he supported? Do you know what his policies are as far as when he was governor? This is what people say. The one answer, look, and I will tell you, it's a sickness. AIPAC can go screw themselves with a wire brush, to be clear.
Yes.
I don't think we need to be sending any money to Israel at all, whatsoever. I think they need to fight their own battles, and we need to protect our country. And if our interests ever align, and I think they align probably less often than many have claimed, more often than some would like to believe, great. Find out where that works. But some people now would tell you, well, the reason that the right and the left and all these folks have come together who campaign against each other to gaslight you, to psyop you, is because they're really controlled by the Jews. And I've heard this quite a bit, right? They go, it's just a few people at the top who want us all fighting, man. Left versus right. It's the elite. And they believe that it's largely the Jews. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Hey, let's assume, okay? And just
I agree with that up until people say the Jews. Like, yes, I do believe that people use politics and especially the media skews things. Fox News gets everyone to hate the left. All the left-wing media, MS Now, that's hard to switch to. CNN get everyone to hate the right. Are there good reasons to hate some of each group? Yes. But for the most part, they make you feel like you are the worst of your side. Like you're attached to that. Which is why I don't choose a side. I have things I'm to the right on. I have things I'm to the left on.
Don't take me out of context. Let's assume we get rid of all Jews tomorrow. Some kind of anti-Jew rapture bomb, or they just disappear non-violently, and the nation of Israel disappears tomorrow. Okay? Oh, I guess I didn't have a difference of opinion with the Democrats on transing kids. It was the Jews who psyoped me into think, I thought that you supported Democrats. I thought that you supported abortion all the way up until and including birth and even after birth, like Governor of Virginia, Northam said. No, I imagined that. I thought that you, Democrat, I thought that you said a 90% top marginal tax rate was okay. That was just me. I dreamt that. I thought Green New Deal was something I must have just dreamt it. I thought DEI was something. I thought give them space to destroy Black Lives Matter. I thought Antifa's just an idea. I thought I had disagreements with the left. All the Jews are gone. Turns out I'm okay with all of it, and we can all get along. You Jews. And watch. Someone's going to watch this and go,
clip that.
Hope those $7,000 are worth it, big dick.
Shekels. They'll call them shekels.
Yeah, the 7,000 is because there was another conspiracy going around that a lot of influencers were getting paid $7,000 by Israel. Promoted by Candace Owens, by the way.
Be honest about it.
Like, to act like everyone's getting together. Like, yes, what did you say, Jew? All right, I'll pretend like I don't want to transition kids, and that is my primary grievance with the entire Democrat Party.
I mean, the left doesn't want to transition kids either. It's just the Jews tell them to do it.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
it must be that.
Right.
But they own all the porn sites, except they don't. But they don't.
Like that's what I see with this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing out there. Otherwise, there is no logical response to say, yeah, Democrats, Republicans, and all these people would get together to convince you that there was an assassination attempt. So the Jews are so convincing. The Jews, not Israel, the Jews are so convincing that Democrats willingly took part in a staged assassination plot that would guarantee Donald Trump a better chance at being elected.
Right.
Oh, that's right. It doesn't matter because he's also controlled by the Jews. So at the end, it's the same thing. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, you're going to get the same results. We all know Kamala Harris would have declared that there were two genders. We all know that she would have had the same policy on tariffs. We all know that she wouldn't have continued Biden's policy on the border that led to 12 to 20 million illegal aliens getting in. She would have closed it just like Donald Trump. There's no difference. There's no difference. You're just being psyoped. Okay. I hope we can do better. And I'm not talking about you, but just question everything that you read out there right now. Because ultimately, if you follow it to the end of the trail, you're like, oh, okay.
Exactly. Believe half of what you see and nothing that you hear.
That's what this is about. Jesse Ventura, he's back now. Him and his riff-raff.
The bot is back.
Former governor of Minnesota here. You can call me the bot.
No, I won't.
I won't.
All right, tough guy.
Call you a skeleton at some point.
Yeah, sounds to me like a blade job.
What?
This Sunday on Geriatric Wrestling, watch Jesse Ventura the Boss.
It's just so sad.
The sagging boss.
I like Pierce's idea, though. It'd be nice to see them fight. That'd be cool.
It would.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have like a Santa outfit.
They say that those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it, and looking at how Hollywood has treated The Lord of the Rings over the past couple of decades, I can't help but think there's a grain of truth in that. Just like Star Wars before it, it all began with the classic original trilogy, born from a sublime blend of inspired writing, technical skill, and timeless themes of heroism and adventure.
I would even argue that Lord of the Rings is a much better trilogy than the original Star Wars trilogy. There is no...
by an overblown and underwhelming trilogy of prequels made by the same people, just older and lamer now, that failed to recapture the magic of the originals. And
I really think, one, the reason why the prequel trilogy for Star Wars is so much worse is because, for the same reason that Thor Love and Thunder is so much worse than Ragnarok. While Taika Waititi is a great director for what his particular brand of filmmaking and comedy is, left to his own devices with a franchise. Now, in itself, it probably could have been amazing. But people went to this wanting to see a movie about a certain thing, a franchise that they're familiar with and love. And while they put little fun Easter eggs in there for a lot of people, he was given full creative control, which is weird for a modern Marvel movie, considering everything's leading to something else. But with the Lord of the Rings, same filmmaking crew for the most part, same everything. The only difference is, instead of trying to break down a trilogy of books into a trilogy of movies, they were trying to add to a 90-page children's tale, prequel technically, to said books, by adding a bunch of bullshit to stretch 90 pages into basically 3-hour movies. That's the main difference in that. If anyone could have done it, it was that team. They did their best, but they got through most of the book pretty quick through the first movie. And then they kind of covered the last 15 pages in the second two movies. It's...
Finally, decades later, with money-hungry studios desperate to squeeze a bit more money out of old IPs before the actors get too old or die, we come at last to the end game.
Make it city!
We already saw it with Rings of Power, Amazon's cringy attempt to compensate for a lack of artistic merit and creative ability with embarrassing amounts of money. And let's be honest, you don't need me to tell you what a fucking train wreck that turned out to be. It's great for us content creators though. But even stranger things are afoot.
I mean, watching all the very creative things to come out of shitting on the Rings of Power series has been pretty funny. Worth it? No. But funny.
At Warner Brothers, arguably the dumbest studio in Hollywood with a massive catalogue of IPs that they somehow managed to fumble time and time again. First up was The War of the Rohirrim. Remember that? Nah, me neither. An animated movie that was sharted out as quickly as possible so that Warner could retain the film rights to the franchise, which probably explains why more than 50 different animation studios were pulled in to get it finished in time, and why it looks janky as fuck.
Yeah,
it was billed as
really
the story
janky.
of legendary warrior Helm Hammerhand in his last stand at the fortress of Helm's Deep. But
honestly, this should have been what A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms turned out to be. A great story about a world we're very familiar with history, and a great return to the greatness of the original series that we love. But instead...
really, it was all just a bait and switch to focus on his daughter Hera, a character that gets mentioned in like one sentence of the original appendices and was so unimportant that Tolkien didn't even bother giving her a name. And this guy names fucking everything. And of course, she turns out to be the usual generic invincible girl boss who beats everyone and wins at everything because modern writing. But it's okay because nobody fucking watched the movie anyway, and it was a massive flop. Then came the baffling announcement of The Hunt for Gollum, a prequel about Aragorn's quest to track down and capture Gollum sometime after Bilbo took the ring from him. A tiny fragment of the original book where everyone knows the outcome already that was summarized in like 2 paragraphs at the Council of Elrond's.
Yeah.
Like, why? Who the fuck even asked for this? How do you expect the original actors to reprise their roles when they're all 20 years older now? Why is Andy Serkis directing it? I mean, I've seen his body of work as a director and it's not impressive.
Yeah.
When I think about all the
Andy Serkis is a great character actor. But he's a shit director and an even worse writer.
Incredible side stories, tales of forgotten heroism, tragic love and bitter betrayal that you could tell in the Lord of the Rings universe. Why go for something as goofy and pointless as this? Anyway, I've dodged it long enough. Let's get this over with, shall we?
That wasn't the worst of it. No, was it? No!
Just like McCoy here, it's time to face my deepest pain. Last night, Peter Jackson took to the internet to announce yet another Lord of the Rings film project that nobody asked for or wanted. And this is when shit truly got real.
Oh, actually, why don't I get somebody else to explain it? Because we've got a very special partner that we're working with. And you can see for yourself. Hang on. There we go. Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man.
What the fuck? Why?
Like, this guy was not at the top of my list. This guy wasn't even on the list for anything. Mostly due to shit like this. But look, Colbert has been... He was funny on The Daily Show. He was very funny doing a very hilarious... convincing to a lot of Republicans spoof on Republican. Like, that was basically his truthiness, the gut, and all that. That's a great brand of comedy. But that's been, what, 20 years? He ever since he took over The Late Show, he did so bad on The Late Show that they're canceling The Late Show. They're not just getting a new host, they're canceling The Late Show. Something that was given to... Oh, shit. David Letterman. It's not a thinking morning. That's something that was made and given to David Letterman when he got screwed by NBC. And he did great with it. I mean, I didn't really care for it, but the Late Show was beloved by my grandma. No, actually, she was more of a Leno guy. But everyone else's grandmas I know, and some mothers, and even me on occasion, because I thought he was very sharp and witty. The little bald guy freaked me out a little bit, but it was always fun to see, and I always enjoyed him a bit more than Jay Leno, except for the jaywalking bits. But this, yeah.
In the name of Sauron's molten arse pipe, would you bring in this tragically unfunny propaganda?
Like this, yeah, this is clearly propaganda.
Multi-million-dollar Lord of the Rings movie. A man whose illustrious screenwriting credits include such gems as Strangers with Candy and... why are we bringing talk show hosts in to write our movies now? Like, is Oprah Winfrey gonna write the next Star Wars movie? How about we get Jimmy Kimmel in to do the next Jurassic Park? That would probably be an improvement at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might actually be an improvement.
In fairness to old Steven here, he is a big Lord of the Rings nerd, although fuck knows what a guy like him sees in Tolkien's pro-Western, anti-authoritarian story of friendship, loyalty, honor, masculine heroism, and clearly defined morality. But there's a big old difference between knowing the lore of a fictional world and actually writing a good story with it. Just ask Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
Then there's his politics, of which there are many. Like, remember when Peter Jackson famously said,
We didn't want to put any of our own, certainly in terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in putting our messages into this movie, but we thought that we should honor Tolkien by putting his messages into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect the same attitude from Stephen Colbert, a man so utterly consumed by his hatred of the Orange Man that he drove away his own audience and nuked his talk show. Jesus, this guy almost makes Mark Hamill look normal. The problem is, people like that can literally never let go of their political hang-ups. It's impossible because it becomes bound up in the very core of who they are. It seeps into everything they say and do, and if he's allowed to write a script for Lord of the Rings, well, I think you can imagine who Sauron is going to become a clumsy allegory for. Speaking of which, let us review the outline of this epic saga in the making, shall we? As per the report from Deadline News, The Lord of the Rings, Shadow of the Past is set 14 years after the passing of Frodo. Sam, Merry and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter Eleanor has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the War of the Ring was very nearly lost before it even began.
This sounds stupid.
I'll give you 3 guesses about who the real protagonist of this movie turns out to be, and here's a little hint to get you started. It's not going to be Sam, Merry or Pippin.
Girls get it done.
You know, it's so fucking funny when life literally becomes the meme. When you can straight up predict exactly what's gonna happen from like 10 nautical miles away, and it still does. Like, if I was to predict what Hollywood writers would do if they were asked to write a sequel to Lord of the Rings, it would basically be this. Defrost the original cast and have them come back playing older, pussified versions of their characters who learn the true meaning of adventure from a younger, more diverse, more female replacement that doesn't just outshine them in every way possible, but also makes them realize they were never really that heroic in the first place. In fact, screw it, we might as well race swap a legacy character like Aragorn while we're at it. I mean, I know Hollywood desperately wants to do it. It's a battle we're gonna fight and lose sooner or later, so we might as well get it over with now. Not only does this crap remind me of the historical enshittification of Star Wars, but I also can't help thinking of James Gunn's DCU by James Gunn. That guy has access to some of the greatest superhero characters in history. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Nightwing, and instead of exploiting his biggest assets, he wastes huge amounts of time, money, and fan goodwill churning out irrelevant vanity projects like Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, and Clayface. All of this is to say I trust Stephen Colbert.
I actually really liked the first season of Peacemaker. I really liked his version of the Suicide Squad. And Creature Commandos was pretty much just the Suicide Squad again, but it was still good. And it gave you backstory on a character that doesn't speak. But no, I completely agree. He should cut it in half, give someone who knows what they're doing with Superman, Batman, and all the big ones, and make just the best artistic movies, the funniest, best movies he can make with characters that nobody gives a shit about. Because that's what he's good at.
To make a good Lord of the Rings movie about as much as I'd trust Movie Bob with my birthday cake. And the sad realization here is, this shit's never gonna stop, is it? For a long time, it really felt like Hollywood was smart enough, or just scared enough, not to mess with Lord of the Rings and just appreciate a job well done. That time, however, has long since passed, and I can't help thinking that Lord of the Rings is rapidly becoming the new Star Wars. Just another convenient IP to be strip-mined until there's nothing left. And the more crap like this that gets churned out, the more it slowly tarnishes the legacy of Tolkien's masterpiece. We'll always have the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, well, until they remake it for modern audiences. But the time when we could actually do justice to Tolkien's work has long since passed.
Yeah.
And somehow I don't think Stephen Colbert is going to bring it back.
He's really not.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
That was such a somber ending. And I really don't want to end it there, so we're not going to get into the final story about Harry Potter today. So instead, I'm just going to sit here and geek out over this for a few minutes. So for those of you who don't know, the same people that brought you the awesome but very flawed Friday the 13th game, and also brought us the decent but an extremely flawed Predators game, and then the meh and insanely flawed Killers Clowns from Outer Space game, which I actually like, and all these games are great if you have enough friends to actually buy it and play it with you, or if you get a good lobby by itself. But this has they put a lot of love into this, mostly because they had to finally shut down the servers for Friday the 13th, so they needed something to, I guess, fuel and fund them until, so they can make all their other meh side things that they want to make, which is fine as long as I hope this one's good. But this is Halloween.
Multiplayer in Halloween is
I hope the characters are as ridiculous as the first one. I hope there's some kind of cop in short shorts that I can bring Captain Hot Pants back.
1v4 asymmetrical horror experience that pits the residents of Haddonfield against the shape of pure evil, Michael Myers. In this quintessential slasher simulator, our playable cast of civilian characters desperately attempt to